pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everybody. This is July 5th, 2016, usually council meeting. All the meeting to order and status quo.
Fisher Brown, here. Wiseman,
Here.
Gambino,
Here.
Mackel,
There.
Grant.
Aye.
Somebody like to approve the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the regular meeting minutes of the Depot Bay City Council meeting for June 21st, 2016.
Second.
Under discussion. Call, please.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Gambino,
Yes.
Mackel,
Yes.
Grant.
And on to accounts payable.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve accounts payable as presented.
I will second.
Made and seconded. Discussion, none. Call, please.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Gambino,
Yes.
Mackel,
Yes.
Grant.
Aye.
Fisher Brown.
Abstain for replacement?
All right, we have special orders.
We don't have any special orders this evening.
And we have reports from officers and boards. And, okay, Amy, start that out.
Jeannie Robinson, Salmon Enhancement Commission Chairperson. Bringing to the attention of the council and the community, the Coho fin clipping will be July 9th at the City Reservoir, starting at 9 o'clock. And again, this year, we have to transport them over to South Depot Bay Creek after they're clipped, and that will occur July 13th, which is a Wednesday. And we'll start at the reservoir at 9 a.m. and about 10 o'clock, the truck will be in the city park area. And last year, we had a bunch of little four-wheel garden carts and transported a number of fish all the way up the nature trail that disperses through the creek. And we also have a little fundraiser for that this year with a raffle, and top prize is a fishing trip. Also, this year our salmon program, which most of you know is one of the oldest or the oldest in the state, is under review. So that takes letters of support. Forward some to Curry, I think Larry Lewis and some of the commission or people in that area are going to rewrite those. We were wishing for a letter of support from the council, if you would. This has to be in my biologist's hands here by the end of July. So, anyway, that's what we're requesting, is a letter of support from the council, and we appreciate all of your support on that. The third item is the dock construction, and it was set up to go this fall. The reservoir didn't get drained, and then we had a fumble in the physical agent matters, and we weren't able to construct that. The grant is open until about the middle of June of next year. And we plan to get that dock and the new fish pen in place by then. Eric Guy from Kansas Flotation Service, I just sent him an email last week, and I know that this is a very, very busy time, and I said, if I don't hear back from you, we're going to assume that this project will take place by November, December, somewhere in there when things slow down for him. And since it's a year's delay, I also put in there, we're assuming that the costs are going to be about the same. I mean, it kind of has to be that way. I didn't hear a response from him. I know that he's busy. After we get this fin clipping out of the way, I will contact him again and bump him again. There was a draft contract for that construction work to be done, and so I would hope within a month I would be able to bring people up to date on exactly what that construction matter is. It was nailed down on costs last year. I don't know. The only thing that's variable is his costs, what he is going to do that. Any questions, man?
The fish, the clipping is gonna be at 9 AM. What time did you say on, is it July 12th, that we transporting?
The fin clipping is Saturday, July 9th at 9 AM.
Right.
And Wednesday, July 13th is when we're going to transport it. It takes about an hour to load the truck with the fish. And,
So what time is that gonna start on the 13th?
9 AM again.
Okay.
And then we estimate that we'll be at the city park about 10.
So do you need help up at the reservoir? No.
What we did last year is we pumped the fish truck full of water, and then it's just a bucket brigade getting the fish out of the fish pen up into the truck. And last year, we estimate that we put in about 9,000 to 10,000 in the lower creek where the truck could just let them out. And then we estimate that we had about 5,000 that we moved up the creek for dispersal. And it has to go through a lot of kind of hoops with the biology people to move them over into that stream, but it appeared to the salmon committee people that this year we had a lot more smolt in the bay, and I think that the survival rate was perhaps better over there. So I think in the future we'll ask them, if we can't transport all of them, maybe we could transport some over there. Would it? I don't know, Mr. Mayor, if you were around today, there were some fish about that big. I couldn't decide whether they were herring or what. So we caught a few, and they were all fin clip coho from the project. Yeah. So anyway, that's my report. Yes, sir.
So, how do you, what do you see as far as letters of support, or what would you think would be to have the most impact on to the state OEF&W? Would it be something from the council or the community, or what do you think?
In my opinion, the biggest statement is from the council, and assurance that there's water supply for that project for those fish and access to it. Again, the goals were economic, social, and education. And on the average, with 20,000 eggs, we fin clipped about 15,000 fish. That's about the average survival rate there. So ODF&W doesn't look at that as saving the salmon runs. What they look at that more for is community involvement and education to the public on how things work. That was the big selling components on that grant that we received. I mean, 15,000 fish out there helps somebody. I mean, we all know what kind of economics show up when the salmon show up.
So, now, you mentioned the grant. Is the grant available going on for this next fiscal year?
It's good for 2 years.
Okay, all right.
And it was approved last September, and just all the hoorah, June of 2017 is when that expires. If we don't do the project, we have.
Okay, so would it be helpful, I mean, we can make a motion to write a letter to the ODF&W on, from the council on behalf of the community of Depot Bay, our commitment to this project.
Absolutely.
Okay, can I make a motion that we do that?
Sure.
All right.
Second.
Good words.
Oh, I make a motion that we direct the staff to write a letter with the spirit that Depot Bay City Council, on behalf of the community of Depot Bay, supports the salmon enhancement program that we have here. It's and all the good and warm things that it does for our children and the rest of the community that gets involved in the process.
Sir,
Second.
may I have something for next year after the collection site is ready to go, then we would have a better chance of having the salmon reserved next year as opposed to what we'll get this year.
Okay?
It's a 5-year deal.
Okay, call please.
Gambino,
Yes.
Nakala,
Yes.
Grant,
Aye.
Fisher Brown.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I would just like to say that I've been involved in the project for a long time, and it is very wonderful to have the support of the city council and the community on that. And, you know, Saturday is a big day for coffee talk and hot dogs up there while we're flipping fish, so you're welcome to come up. Thank you.
Thank you.
When does it start, meeting?
9 a.m.
9 a.m., okay, all right.
I'll give you a call.
I'm gonna try and send my daughter up there.
Do that. Excuse myself, the importance of it is getting younger people involved.
Oh, she'd dig it, yeah, she'd really dig it, I think.
That's good.
Do we have anything else on committees or? No. All right. On to public comments.
I do have a comment that I don't know if I should wait. Excuse me, sorry.
Do you want her or me?
No, go ahead.
Well, I didn't see who was.
I think your hand was up first, actually.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see it first.
I understand.
I understand, that's okay. I'm Barbara Leffen, my husband is Bernie Lyon. Oh, good. Hi. We live at 210 Southeast Hazelton Place. Most of you have a copy of what I'm about to read. This is a formal complaint that we filed with the city last week. We understand that the current temporary postmaster, Peter Royna, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, has told at least 2 of our neighbors that they can install a mailbox on what is actually city right-of-way, under which is a water main, sewer, a gas main, and a fiber optic communication line. It happens that there is a property easement for part of this right-of-way that runs through our family's property. Additionally, a new home is being built on the adjacent lot, and the driveway apron will be right where the individual put the locate request. If there was any sort of breakage or accident, not only would our homes and lives be at risk, so would all of the city's citizens whose homes are in the immediate area. At least one of the citizens to whom Mr. Royna has spoken is attempting to install a mailbox in this particular right-of-way based on his suggestions and with his, Mr. Royna's, permission. So on top of the risk to the city's utilities and many properties, there is the added financial risk to this citizen who would be forced to remove the mailbox and repair the site at her own expense. We understand that there is a map showing suggested locations for mailboxes prepared by postal employees, which shows boxes installed over the right-of-way mentioned above. We believe it is imperative that 1, postal employees be told again that they should not be giving that map to locals, implying that these are locations that have been approved by the city. 2, Depot Bay citizens should be informed that postal employees have no authority to give approval for box locations without first getting written approval from the city, and that they, the citizens, might be liable for removal and repair costs if the city has not and does not approve those locations. Citizens should be asked by the city to refrain from requesting locates, as mailboxes cannot be installed on top of or close to the right-of-way which houses so many utilities. The city has already removed locates twice at our request because of the danger of unqualified individuals digging near so many utilities so close to homes. Further, we urge you to contact regional postal authorities about Mr. Royna's choice to ignore decisions made at several meetings with city representatives in an attempt to resolve the issue cooperatively, including the regional postal employee Ron Schauer, who attended at least one of those meetings. We are surprised and disappointed in the postal employees' behavior, ignoring the city's repeated attempts to deal with this issue in an organized, safe, and cooperative manner. Thank you all for protecting the health and safety of our citizens and the property of our homeowners. And I would just like to add one thing. When we came home this afternoon, in that spot where a locate had been requested, there is now a mailbox in a bucket of cement, I assume, with the address of the party in question on it. Now, Brady took a picture of it this afternoon. That, I believe, is exactly where the driveway is going to be for the new construction?
Yes, it's the corner of the driveway, and it's actually on private property. That must be that the individual seems to think that the property line goes into, but actually the pin is located right there, and it's pretty clear on this one where the pin is here, and the box is clear on someone's property. So actually the road right away just goes to the curb. So there's easements in here for the water main, which sit back. This is the water main where the valve lid is, and it sits back quite a ways. So there is easements for these, and
Brady, will you?
I don't think the person that's doing this isn't aware of where the property lines are. I sent an email out from the 22nd that was very, very clear that the city, I can't approve any sites until the city's attorney drafts an ordinance for these mailboxes. And I told that from the get-go, which I was completely ignored, and told that they're moving forward, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So it's kind of coming to a head right now
some comments?
Sure, absolutely.
Part that disappoints me is that this individual, regardless who tells her what you cannot do, she goes ahead and does it anyway. Now, obviously, she doesn't see that there is any kind of a cost associated to her, because she has even, you might voice your comment. Now, I have here in my hand the Hightower Engineering layout of Winchell Street when it was redone back in 2008. And it notes all of the services. So it's not like this isn't part of the public record. And as a fact, I also have here a letter from Terry Owens in 2008 that asked for permission to come on the property and do work and have construction people come on.
Which,
Where? Go ahead.
which of course we granted, because we wouldn't want to stand in the way of the city being able to take care of the utilities that we all have. But a post office box on top of all of that?
Well, and in addition, okay, there's a paragraph here which talks about any such project improvements or private improvements removed, replaced, or repaired by the city is agreed to as part of the project. The city shall restore the premises of the grantor, any buildings or improvements disturbed by the city, to the condition as near and practical as they prior to any such installation or work. So,
That means we're asking in addition that you remove that mailbox.
now, do you need a copy of this? Did you find this?
No, I have
To begin with, the post office doesn't have any rights to give anybody this permission to do anything like this.
Right,
Only we as a city have that right.
right.
So I'll leave it to the discussion there. Are you,
I think so.
is anybody?
Barbara, when you said we granted permission for the city, by we, do you mean that it has to do with your private property or when you were a part of the board of council chair?
The property is owned by families, by a family member, our family member, and she granted permission for the city to have the right of way for these utilities.
Yes.
Brady, you mentioned that you had a couple of emails back and forth with this
Yeah.
individual, and you said that, I heard you say something about that they decided they would proceed. Did you mean they, as the resident that placed the mailbox, told you, in other words, tough luck, we're gonna do it anyway?
Yeah,
Is that-
basically, I told them that, number one, it's that she has to wait until, that the city, during a meeting, made a motion to have the attorney draft an ordinance, that I cannot approve any sites until that ordinance is created, because they had to start out with, myself and a few members of the postal service, some supervisors, create a route map that has their route and then areas that I feel would be workable with pulling over and placing these mailboxes.
Right.
And we didn't even go that far. As the council said, no, let's draft this ordinance, we're gonna have legal work on it, and nothing happens in the meantime.
Right.
So I told her that, and she just kept moving forward with that. And I had stated in another email that area was dangerous with locates, that absolutely was X'd out from the original conversation I had with the Postal Service as a very bad spot because of all the gas mains, water mains, etc. And knowing Pete Riona from the post office, knowing full well that we, the city, and myself, absolutely does not like that spot
And so,
for mailboxes at all.
latest response from that party was, I mean, did you actually get a response that?
I
that you
did,
said?
on June 22nd, I responded to your email, which is attached. This is the one where she asked, and I said, because she's telling me that we have not heard back from you for many of our questions. And her husband stopped by City Hall and Curry was unable to give him any information on who removed the locates. You answered our questions about being reimbursed. They want to be reimbursed for their post office box fee from the city.
Can I just, 22nd, my wife and I were driving home. And in fact, saw this individual coming off our property with a camera in their hand. When we pulled into our driveway and went around the other side, the same individual was there, my wife, and I could hear, because I was within earshot of the conversation, my wife asked the individual if there was something I can do to help you, Valerie. And Valerie said, no, and continued to walk. So the next comment was that my wife asked her, well, what are you doing on our property? And her comment was, I wasn't on your property. Then she proceeded to jump into her Jeep and drive off. She left motor work. That same evening, when I came out to walk my dog, and it was 10 after 8. The same evening, when I came out to walk my dog,
At about 10 p.m.
no, 9:10,
9:10.
I walked the dog, there was a locate written on the city street, big arrows pointing wide, met a copy of it.
So clearly
So
she's
clearly-
not paying attention.
Yeah, I don't know why she thinks that she has the right to put the post office box there, other than what Peter has written her or discussed with her.
Right.
And Peter doesn't have the right either.
So we are asking for your help.
We have also, what's going to happen this evening, declared by our city attorney. An ordinance relating to the placement and maintenance of mailboxes in public right of way within the city of Depot Bay and provide penalties and violations therefore. So we're going to talk about that tonight.
Are there penalties in there?
Usually just removal, I mean, there's really not anything to cite anybody for, but we could always discuss that, this is a framework.
Yeah. One of the things I think, it's clear, okay, I shouldn't say it's clear. My opinion is that this woman thinks that she can park her vehicle there to get her mail, block my driveway, and my neighbor's driveway that hasn't been constructed yet, and require that nobody park there with her. Now, if you've read any of the emails back and forth, you'll get the general sense of this. So my thinking is that she doesn't understand that that's not a problem.
That may be true, keep in mind the city can only do what, what it does with
Yeah, but
its right.
Pete, she's asking you to put an ordinance in that says, I'm gonna post my box here. Next, I want you to make a no parking zone in front of it.
Yeah, she had requested that the ordinance say no parking.
So-
Is it within the city's purview to remove the mailbox that's there now?
City controls its own
We are
right of way.
going to, an item C under unfinished business, we're gonna relate to this evening. And I think we can handle all these problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to remind you, Pete, of Gracie's issue with the sewer line that was running across the property. You remember that one?
20 years ago?
Well, yeah,
Same
15 years,
issue.
15 years ago.
It's the same issue.
Never remember.
Yeah.
I barely do.
But,
Come on, yeah.
but the point I'm making is this is the same kind of condition.
I did, but go ahead.
This is
Matt.
simple.
Go ahead.
Before you
you go back to the audience, first of all, I want to thank you for coming and letting us know about this. And I'm sure that you're very aware, as are all of us, that we've been struggling with this issue. And I think we've really been making a lot of good faith efforts to try and get this resolved in a way that you know, everybody can live with. I think that, you know, everybody's gonna be a little dissatisfied with the solution, but by golly, you know, we can make a solution. And I just don't understand, again, why this is continuing to be an issue. But I want you to know that this agenda item that we're gonna be considering in this draft ordinance was not, as far as I know, brought to us by anyone except the fact that this is continuing to be an issue and the fact that we need some clarity on paper as to what's okay and what's not okay. And so we've drafted this in order to address those issues in a definitive way. And once these things are in place, and you know, the post office is not having any influence as far as I know. Nobody from the post office has talked to me in any way, shape, or form about this. So I want to assure you that I'm impartial as far as this goes, except that I'm just irritated that it's continuing to be a problem.
So are we.
You know, I spent a few minutes asking people who have in fact had interaction with the post office people. And I'm going to say this in open session here, that I think that there is a bit of fraud going on within the post office. And fraud meaning, in fact, to their benefit, they are posting bad information. They're telling people that they can put these things where they want them, to their benefit. Not anything to do with the city's benefit, safety of individuals. And I don't know, Pete, is that fraud?
I answered questions from the mayor, I really
Okay.
We're
Well,
gonna.
I'm not gonna accuse anybody of anything.
We're gonna address that this evening.
That's-
Anybody else?
You know, the reason I'm saying this is because it is clear to me that the post office, the regional manager of the post office, came here to talk to your people, has in fact given the new intern, meaning Peter, the new intern manager, direction, which is, and I mean, he wrote it in an email, so it's real clear that he wants the post office department to put out all the boxes it can, or otherwise charge your constituents because they failed to do it back in 2003. So that's my statement. That's what I believe.
Yes, sir.
I have one thing, one briefly. The picture you showed, and you said, actually the city's right of way ends at the curb, but then we have an easement.
So that mailbox is actually, on private property.
Private property, not on our easement.
It's not even,
So will we have the right to go grab it and say?
No, actually, I've got to maybe get a hold of the property owner and tell them that they actually called me already and complained that the city allowed this. And, I said that we didn't allow anything, I didn't even know of it until he called.
Okay, good.
And I said I needed to take photos of it, and I established where the property pin was, with a marker, because it's buried below. But, the owner of the home knew where it was, and then that's when I established that it's obviously on private property.
And then, just one more comment. I left to go to the post office infrequently as I go. And I met my next door neighbor who was building a home there. And he was complaining to the post office individual that in fact, what is this post office box doing on my property? It's from 430 or 340 Elsie Lane. So, and you know him because he's right across the street from me. And that happened within 20 minutes of me getting in my car, driving over to the post office, and being there for 20 minutes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Just one comment, I'll reserve say the rest, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
When it comes to setting up these post office boxes, if they're there's an actual right of way and it's authorized by the city, we go with some version or with the letter of this ordinance, there's bound to be, Bernie, some inconvenience for blocking the road for people to come up and get their mail, okay? I don't see no parking being there, but I'm sure that you've been around the rural, postal routes enough to know how they work. I certainly have, where you've got a row of boxes on common ground, more than likely, maybe even on private property. One of the property owners owns it, and the postal service delivers to all the boxes, and unless there's room, one person at a time goes up and collects the mail. That being said, I'm curious, Mayor, as we go forward and face this ordinance down the list, is that I can't help but wonder and questioning here is that did the post office give these gentle people that, so to speak, the impression that if they erected this box on this spot that they would actually deliver to it?
Yes.
Brady,
Well,
want to answer that?
I gave them I told them today.
So that they were, the post office was actually willing to deliver to it?
I've met, they were.
Okay.
There was
Brady and I
another
were the same
gentleman, a
meeting.
month earlier, we met on that spot, and they were gonna have another gentleman that lives on Hazelton put a box there. And I said, absolutely not, it's not on the route map that we marked, and there's water mains, and he goes, oh, okay, well, can you put it in a bucket with concrete? And I said, no, he can't. And that, I said, you have to wait for the council to draft an ordinance, and then I sit down with the post office route guy, and we come up with areas that are suitable to pull over, where it's not an inconvenience, it's not on utilities, and it's
Not in
easy
a
criteria.
driveway.
Yeah.
all right,
So that's kind of,
Right.
and then fast forward to what's going on now.
yeah. So we'll move on to our item C, eventually.
This young lady here,
Eventually,
Very nice one.
Yes.
but, and
My
when we do
comments-
that,
You really-
yes,
My comments actually should be brought up on the Whale Inn property on item D. So I don't want to bring it up twice, so if I could wait till that's brought up and then I can share what I have on my mind about that property. So, I know it's vacant, and I know there's some issues about it. So I'd like to be able to share with you some ideas that I have, possibly later, instead of bringing it up now. Is that okay?
all right, that's what.
That way we
Okay,
can
let-
do the things.
Can we continue with this, this minute, John?
I'm sorry.
Hey, what we're going to do is, go down to unfinished business, to all of our, items, down to these, other items, including, yours, with the, we're gonna talk about all that this evening. And, we've had enough said about this meal thing right now. We're gonna get to it, and the city will decide what we can do this evening. All right, so, is there anything else on this? John, go ahead.
I had another comment on the mail issue, but if you want to wait, I'd be glad to wait until you bring it up again, unless you want to hear it now.
Great, that'd be wonderful.
Okay.
All right. Is there any more public comments? Not related to what we're gonna see later, okay. All right. Unfinished business. A request for waiver of water system development charge with, STC on, Highway 101. Brady, you got some on that?
What's it?
Under unfinished business item A, waiver request.
Oh, that's this gentleman. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking it was something different. That's why I was thrown off.
I'm thinking culverts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I put a mailbox in there.
All right, Corey, would you start everybody out on this? I'm gonna give everybody an even deal.
Okay, so you all should have a copy of a July 5th, 2016 memo to you, the mayor and city councilors, regarding the request that you received under public comments at the last meeting. So, and there's attachment materials attached. And what's attached is a copy of the proposal that was submitted by, is it Latte? Am I saying that right? Mr. Latte at the last meeting. Just in case you didn't have the one from, that he provided at the last meeting. It's, also a copy of the city ordinance 113 and a copy of the December 8th, 2011 request to disconnect water service to that property, which was done in effective December 31st of 2011. It also attaches a copy of the city's SBC ordinance. And this SBC ordinance number 264, while it's attached, it's fairly long, so I just tried to highlight some of the applicable sections relating to this request. If you remember at the last council meeting, I had spoke to the fact that all of our ordinances that relate to fees, they sometimes have, right in the ordinance, that the city council has the right to waive if upon request. Well, what ordinance 264 offers to people is the right to appeal a determination. So basically, the determination was done by city staff when they approached the city saying that property was disconnected from water service in 2011. For our rules, now you have to pay the system development fee that's in place, the $5,556. So in essence, my interpretation is that's what they're appealing. And they provided you with a proposal at the last meeting, rather than just, their proposal is to pay what would have been paid basic service charges for water since the time of disconnect. So, and our city attorney is here tonight, so I haven't had a chance to talk with him regarding my interpretation of the provision for appeal in this ordinance. That's just the way I read it, is that these folks, anybody has the right to appeal that determination on city staff saying this is what your SBC is. So based on that, that gives you the right to hear this appeal. So here we are. So do you have any questions on the memo or anything else? Pete's here to answer that.
I'm reading real fast.
Yes.
I have two questions. First of all is, would you remind us again what the counter offer was for, and the other one is essentially, boiled down to it is, do we have the authority to do that, and is there any precedent? Has that ever happened in the past?
Your first question, the very first page after the cover sheet, the memo, is a copy, the cover sheet of their proposal, and where they outline, they're asking the council to set aside this fee, then they show the, the $39 per billing cycle, total of $858 from December 2011 to July 2016. So they did their calculation of what their proposal is.
Okay.
They also had they put in their proposal a 1-inch service inspection, $331.
And I remeasured that line, and that is a 1 inch.
It is. So that's the proposal. Instead of paying the SBC, they're proposing to, like it was never disconnected, we'll catch up. We'll pay like it had been connected all this time. I would note that on ordinance 113, where it allows a customer terminate their service, and by that, that means I'm going to either remove any and all buildings that are on my property that could be used for human habitation, or in lieu of removing the actual building, I'm gonna remove all plumbing, and I'm gonna make my building uninhabitable. And then I'm gonna sign the paper that says, yes, I understand that in the future, when I want service again, I'm gonna pay connection fees that are in place at the time. So that's really the process. So anybody can do that if they're in the position of making the building on their property uninhabitable.
So if they were to, at some later time, and assuming this would be the same owner, if they were at some later time to decide that they want to reconnect to the water and sewer and reinstall those facilities, would they be then subject to the development fee, the 5,000? Okay.
Yes, and that's the crux of the matter. I'm gonna refer for a moment to the memo, and right in the middle, after service disconnection, termination of monthly service charges. I'm gonna try to answer your second question. Has this ever happened before? So, per City Ordinance 113, if you terminate, you remove all your plumbing, or you remove all your buildings, you fill out sign the form that says, I understand, if I ever want this service again, I shall pay whatever fees the city has at that time. So we have all that on this property. Ordinance 113, Section B, speaks to that at such time in the future as water and or sewer, in this case when we're talking water, is requested for the premises, it goes on to say a permit shall be obtained and you will pay the connection charges then in effect, provided that the applicant shall receive a credit against the amount of such water and sewer connection charges in an amount equal to that were originally paid. Okay, and that's why I mentioned in here that back in 1978, when the then property owner got their building permit, they paid $500. That was the connection fee for water at that time. The problem with that is that our SDC ordinance, section 8.1, provides for exemption credit that all of those credits expire July 1, 2001. But I will tell you that we have honored, even with that new ordinance, we have honored that old credit, what was paid originally. In a reconnection situation, back in 1978, $500 was paid, disconnected. Come back in the future at some time, like now, and want to reconnect, we have given that, what was paid before for SDC credit. That has occurred.
Okay.
It's a rare thing, but it has occurred. If that helps.
So the $500 original SDC charge was not deducted from the then current SDC charge. It simply was considered as the SDC charge paid, correct?
Well,
Or are you
back in
saying that-
1978, there were no SDCs. We had connection fees. Kind of like precursors to system development charges. I think it was in 1990 or 91 that the state set up the statutes to allow for system development.
Okay, but since that time, you say we did have an occurrence where we allowed it, this exception. Did we allow $500 off the then current SDC charges, or we considered the $500 originally paid as a connection fee as the now current, in lieu of the now current SDC charge?
What was paid originally was allowed as a credit against the now current SDC.
So it's a discount.
And it was actually, this is just dollars, but, it was a sewer, and it was $100 that was credited against, whatever the sewer is, or was, and it's been a few years ago. But yes, is that clear? When you say
Yes.
what was paid before, was the amount of credit that was granted to, against the current.
Perfect.
So it
Okay.
would
That's
It would
something.
reduce the $5,556 by $500.
Okay, the second part of my question, I guess, you said that has been done once or twice. something like that?
once for certain.
And have we, do you know if we, this is probably even racking your history with more. Sorry. Do you know if we've had any of the opposite, where we've said, no, you will pay all of the SDC charges? Have we had more of that and less of the exception?
You know, these reconnections are so
Rare.
few, so rare.
So you don't know?
There, I don't think there's really even a handful.
Okay.
No,
I just have one more question, if you, or one more tiny question. And that is, I'm wondering, what does the site development fee, what are they actually paying for when they pay that fee? What do they get for that?
Definition of system development, correct? I hope that's
It's in there.
Oh, yeah. A reimbursement fee, an improvement fee, or a combination thereof, assessed or collected at any time of the time specified in section 7. This was written by an attorney, of this ordinance. The SDC shall not include installation or inspection fees for water, sanitary sewer, or storm water drain connection, since such fees are designed by the city to reimburse the cost of those connections. So the SDC specifically does not include the tapping the main, running the line, providing the water meter, the inspection at time of hookup. I'm looking at ordinance 264 for a very short answer to your question. Okay. Purpose of system development chart is to promote the objective of future systems users contributing an equitable share to the public costs of existing facilities and to impose an equitable share of the public costs of capital improvements upon those developments that create the need for or increase the demands on capital improvements. In other words, the more people coming on board, we're gonna need a bigger water storage tank. We're gonna need a water treatment plant that can process water faster. We're gonna increase capacity. At the same time, the reimbursement part is, gee, we built that water treatment plant back in 1978, and new people coming online, and we're still paying those bonds. New people coming online that haven't shared, they're gonna pay a share. So it's capital improvements is what it is.
Anybody else before I do stuff twice?
go ahead.
So, I appreciate your research on that, Prairie. It sheds a little bit more light. And, I for one, I think, you know, I'm for keeping the standard of what we have, but however, there's this exception built in, it sounds like, you know, that original SDC charges could be applied as a credit to future SDC charges. Now, I went, according to my inflation calculator, $500 back in 1978, which is not even far, how far back did we say next? Let's call it 19.
It was, that was paid in 1978, $500 for water.
Just so happens in 1978, $500 today would be worth $1,904.38. So, not that I would recommend going that way, but if we wanted to give the gentleman relief on the property, I think there's precedent to do that for at least $500. I don't know if we want to go beyond that, but $500 back in '78 is worth almost $2,000 today.
Another question, but I noticed he had his hand up.
Go ahead.
I was just reading through here, and I appreciate the background here on it. I was looking on the ordinance 264, top page 3, in section 4.2, and be the fourth line down, it says modifications to system development charges shall be by resolution of the city council. So I'm just pointing out that you guys have, it sounds like, the options to modify as you.
If I might speak to that section, that is specific to the city council has to adopt by resolution what the fees are.
So,
And so when we, every 5 or 10 years, we go out and we hire an engineering firm to update our SDCs. So that's what that section's
That's what
talking
that's
about, that
Okay.
we have our methodology adopted, and, you know, we need to review and look at our capital improvement plan, and maybe we're gonna add some stuff and bump that SDC up a little bit. So that's what that section's
Thank you.
speaking to, but yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would, and I would be, you know, open for discussion, but I would make a motion to give
Whitlock, Laddick, and
Yeah,
Whitlock
looking
and
for-
Reed, yeah, for the 900.
Mr. Whitlock?
I'm Laddick,
Glenn?
Yeah.
Okay, Paul?
yes.
Okay. I'd be inclined to, in accordance with a precedent that's been set in the past, to give Mr. Lag the original $500 system SDC cost that was paid in 1978
As a discount, correct.
as a discount, yeah.
I'll second that motion. Good.
Would that be acceptable to you?
Anything would be acceptable because
And
it
we-
helps,
Okay.
you know, it's a little bit more material so we can get the job going.
And we know for sure that that is the original amount that was paid?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I just want to be clear on that, because, yeah. Okay, well, with that in mind, if you're willing to accept that, then I'd have to say that I think that's a fair settlement. So,
Counselor, do you have anything on that?
No, I was just inquiring of Curry about the previous time that they've done that, the exception. And it may be an exception going forward, so, but you folks are aware of that.
Well, I think as long as we're clear that what we're talking about here is it's a disconnection, reconnection. It would not,
it doesn't alter the ordinance.
it's not gonna
or-
apply to someone where the property's never had a connection before. This is kind of a special circumstance. Is that your understanding?
It doesn't happen that often, the precedent isn't that big of a deal, I just, questioning.
Oh, the description of somebody disconnecting and what the city says, is either you have to tear your buildings down or remove all sewers, is usually at that point an extreme cost to you. It wouldn't be beneficial, so I imagine it is very rare.
So I did like your inflation number.
I tried, I would do it.
I personally have to say that, lost the thought, anyway, sorry. Okay, what I was gonna say was that I think that this is such a rare circumstance that, if it should come up again during the tenure of my ownership of this chair, then I'd be willing to consider such things on a case-by-case basis. So, if we're talking about a brand new home going in or something where they have to do, run the lines and do all of the thing, I think that the entire fee is entirely appropriate. But in a case where you've already got a dwelling on there that's been, taken off the grid, so to speak, and you're just putting it back on, I think that, case by case would be appropriate.
Call, please.
Matula,
Yes.
Grant,
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Gambino.
Even though I seconded it, for the record, I have to say no. I know it won't make any difference. That's probably it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to stick around for the full.
It's been entertaining. Yeah, entertaining. Oh, Lord.
And enlightening.
All right.
League of Oregon Cities. It's a legislative issues that we're going to vote on, yes or no, and for some reason I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, I
That's all right, I don't need it.
was gonna say, I have an extra. So hopefully you all marked up and marked which ones were your top four, out of all the priorities? In the packet, let's see. So they have categories of legislation that the league is planning to stump for cities in the upcoming legislative year. Community development, they have 4 items. Energy, they have 3 items. Finance and taxation, they have 5. General government, 5. Human resources, they have 4 items. Telecommunications, they have 4. Transportation, just 1. Water and wastewater, they have 3 items. So that's, what I'm looking at is the blue checklist, the very next page. So have you been able to identify, like I say, we have to identify 4. Our City of Depot Bay's top 4 priorities. Wow, rights of way, but it's for telecommunications, not for us.
I don't know if anyone else has gone through this. I have, for myself, obviously. And I have come up with 4, and I'm wondering if others have. What I've chosen under human resources, PERS reform, item S, as 1, because I think that's going to be important in our future. Telecommunication rights of way is important, as well as franchise fees. And then I'm one for transportation, so the transportation funding and policy package. So those are the 4 I got.
Well, I got one of those.
Did you?
Yeah. I agree with the transportation, but I also think we need to look at housing assistance programs. I would like to see more green energy. And I would also like to see some natural hazard land use reports.
Some what?
Natural hazard land use reports.
Why do I only have 3? What did you say? What was the second? Oh, green
technology.
Green energy technology.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I'll go with finance and taxation, property tax reform, fairness and equity.
Both?
Well, it's
Oh,
it's
just that one,
it's
yeah.
HI, yeah.
Gotcha.
Go.
Well, I go along with the housing assistance program. And that's really, I mean, all of these things are important, but the things that I think would be priorities, a lot of them I don't see on this list, so I'm just gonna go with that one.
With me, I guess. I'm looking at the legislation part, needed housing, assistance program, energy, green energy, finance, and taxation. I figured we might as well get some of that marijuana money that's floating around. And general government, Q would be qualification-based selection on human resources. Excuse me, qualification-based on selection, and under human resources, veterans preference clarifications, and under telecommunications, technology funding, and, transportation is pretty simple,
So,
and the last water and wastewater, I'm really kind of tied between A and C, but I think, wastewater is gonna be a big problem in the future.
So, you chose one in each section then?
Huh?
You chose one in each section?
That's what I did.
so,
That's taking those as the most important ones.
so I'm down with, selection, so that's two of us on technology funding, as far as, so can we put one, go with one down, three to go?
You mean item E?
Under telecommunications,
Thank you.
Mayor chose technology funding, I like that, because that could include things like Wi-Fi for the city of Depot Bay.
Right.
That's not a question that was asked, but that would be a consideration.
Well, you selected it, Mayor, under telecommunications.
Technology funding,
Yeah,
transportation, and whatever technology requires, that's what I'm interested in. The more technology, the better.
Okay, looks like we all agree on one so far, so.
And, okay, I'll put in also the 911 emergency communications too. I think that that's a priority, especially for where we're geographically located. Isn't that on the list?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
you know, I like, excuse me, Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
the needed housing assistance program, I just think it's more encompassing than that.
Yeah, three of us, and
Yeah, it's more encompassing, I don't know what they exactly mean by that. I think that affordable housing is not defined by that statement. I think that intricate to needed housing assistance program is that there are some places that you can rent that are lower cost, but then you might have to travel 10 or 15 miles to the job with no transportation, and we don't have a very good bus system, which I'd like to see improved. You know, so I think it's more encompassing than just needed housing assistance program. So I would be down with that, but we need it has to have a more of a plan for to help people succeed.
well, and really, we have to think of this as just a summary. I mean, it could
Right.
very well include that kind of thing. I think all of us are pretty committed, as is the county and the state, on the need for affordable housing and assistance. I think that's an important one that we can all agree on. You agree?
Totally.
Should we go with that? No?
Yeah.
Okay, that's number two.
Which one you got?
A.
That's,
A.
You chose that one too, man.
yeah, that is the most, we see a lot of people that are traveling 50 or more miles to come down the coast to take care of us as individuals. And they're doing on the low income, low scale where they're living. It's really important that we pay attention to these people, because they are, even though they're not living here, they are citizens. All right, let's go to energy.
Well, two of you said green energy technology requirement is a good one.
We're going, that green energy, my main reason for selecting that one is that's the thing in the future. We're gonna have to do away with this, funding, oil. We're gonna have green energy is gonna be a resource. And as time goes on, we have more and more technology that allows that to happen. And that, of course, will include the dams that survive. But there's a big future in this solar thing. And even though it's pretty cloudy around here, the technology is coming along, and we're gonna see it.
I would say that the way this is worded leads me to believe is the green energy technology requirement, or strike it, I don't know what they mean by technology, but there is legislation already in place that requires sellers of power, like in our case, the Central Lincoln PUD, as time goes forward, to derive a certain percentage, and that percentage goes up every so many years, and it hits a top. But it's legislation that's already in place that is, unless it's repealed, it will continue to, that the amount that the PUD has to buy from a renewable source that does not include, let me put this, hydroelectric, okay? The wind, solar, and I don't know what else is on the list, but, so that could be, where are they gonna get that energy? You know, that requirement, so that they can, because I think it goes up to as far as 20%.
One of it,
Yeah. That's huge, since, you know, if you took all the windmills in the state of Oregon and had them all working at the same time, they might, I think, amount to 5% of our energy needs, which is still a lot, but, you know, it's not 20.
Yeah, building construction is a big thing. Insulation, how the materials that the buildings are being put up with. There are things that, locations next to a bank or in a bank. The average temperature of the ground is 63 degrees. When you go down just a few feet. And those things and all that technology that's involved. So that's why I picked it, green energy. Go ahead.
Well, I agree with you on the green energy. I mean, you know, Tony and I drive into Newburgh all the time and go through to Vernonia to see his brother. And, you know, there's a whole field of solar panels that's sprung up along that highway, and I'm not sure where the energy's, you know, what it's going for, or, you know, who's benefiting from it. But I know that, you know, whoever, the one entity that's not benefiting from it is the power company. Because, you know, these are people who are able to generate their own. And I know a lot of people, you know, there are incentives to put up things like solar panels, financial incentives, and a lot of people who generate more energy, you know, electricity than they need, also have the ability to sell it back to the power company. So I really agree with you on that it is the wave of the future. Maybe we won't see it in our lifetime, but, you know, as you know, the earth continues to change for whatever reason it's doing so, you know, these things are gonna need to come on board because there's stuff that's just plain running out.
Well, it all goes back on the grid.
Those panels outside of Sheridan,
Yeah.
those are the farmer's co-op.
Oh, thank you.
Given the time and
They work together.
and the amount of agenda items we still have, I would like to suggest that we speed this up. And the way I see it, so far we have two that we all agree on. We need two more, rather than pick one in each section and then go back to each section and decide what we're gonna do. I've been telling him for the total numbers, A was actually number one. Y that we chose, technology funding, was actually, I think, two people. Transportation funding was 3, so that could actually, according to us and our
Who's
votes,
that?
should be the third one maybe. Yes?
Yeah.
Sure, that's right.
All right, there's 3. See how easy this is? And then 4, Colin.
We got 2 on the green energy technology.
Let's just
Yeah,
go with that.
yeah, that's right. Sure.
We can talk about it with them anyway.
See, we're done.
Yay.
Thank you.
Gordy and Mel.
So you got it, Kurt? What was the other one? It'll be A, and E, and Y, and Z. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, the other things that are issued here, they're really based on what personal thoughts or opinions might be, like the marijuana tax for one thing, things like that, so that's a good idea.
Next on the agenda.
Okay, that's fine. Everybody has to decide. All right, that'll be.
Take prepared.
We need a motion on this.
Oh, I have, but we'll just fill out the form with the 4 priorities. If you wanna do a motion, you're more than welcome.
I think we should, they asked specifically. Go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead. Make the motion.
That we approve, as previously discussed, got it marked down here, A, Y, and Z.
And E.
Oh,
We were to come up with 4.
oh, okay.
E
And
four.
E, that's right, I
Yes.
got a circle here.
Second.
E.
Bingo.
A, E, Y, and Z.
Tell them what he's won, John.
C is transportation. C is,
Z, yes.
Yeah, Z. The transportation funding and policy.
that's final thing.
Call.
Grant?
Aye.
Fisher Brown?
Yes.
Wiseman?
Yes.
Gambino?
Yes.
Manoa?
Yes.
Gary.
All right. Back to the mailboxes.
Double face.
He's been waiting.
Patient.
Oh, John, can we first, before John speaks, I've got a request, Mayor. That, because we're gonna vote on it, and it's short enough that we can read it into the record. Can we press upon Counselor Gedner to read the draft into the record?
Well, if you get that point, let me just back up a little bit though. This is actually required for discussion, I didn't realize.
Oh, okay, because, I was gonna fast track that.
Well, if you have me read it, it would be very fast. I just want to remind you folks, you already have control of your right of way. You already have that from ordinance 238. What this ordinance proposes to do, all it does is it gives you an opportunity to regulate mailboxes if you choose to allow them. You don't have to allow anything at this stage. the status quo right now is you control your rights of way. So this is really an accommodation, this new ordinance is just an accommodation if in fact you want to start allowing mailboxes in the right of way and then regulate through a permit process that the staff can manage. So I'm not so sure you want to have it read and passed because
Oh, okay.
right now you currently control your rights of way.
I'm encouraged, Mr. Mayor, I'm encouraged by one thing, that the post office appears to be more than willing to go and deliver to these boxes. It's like, if you build them, we will come.
Let's hear
What I was going to say was, they have a specific route developed. They will deliver to any box that's along the route they have developed. Brady has a copy of the route, and it happens that the route takes the vehicle east on Winchell, so it doesn't want any mailboxes on the
Left side.
of the street, and there are several good places for the left side of the street, but they're not going in that direction, so they won't deliver to the other side of the street.
Right.
So it
Unless there's
isn't,
a turn.
they're not willing to deliver anywhere. They're only willing to deliver
On their roads.
on the side that they're driving on within the route that they developed.
And it doesn't matter if you live, like clear on the end of Williams Avenue, your mailbox is gonna be on their route, which is Collins Street.
Okay.
It's crazy.
John, you've been so patient.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have 2 points that I want to bring up. John O'Brien, 270 Bensel Avenue in Depot Bay. The letter I received, that everybody probably got from the interim acting whatever postmaster mistress, stated that the majority of people in Depot Bay receive their mail at their mailboxes, not at the post office, but on delivery. And I find that very hard to believe. If it's 5149 or 50.5 to 49.5, I don't even think it's that close. And so I think that's an erroneous statement on the part of the post office. And the second item, and I'll put on my other hat as a member of the Traffic Safety Commission, there are very few roads in streets in Depot Bay that qualify in width that will allow two-way traffic and still somebody pulling over to deliver mail or pick up mail without pulling in off the road, and then you're on private property.
Yeah.
And the street I live on, my property line goes out into the street. A lot of the streets up where I live are old logging trails. And they're gravel and we paved out. So I would be very reluctant to agree to mail delivery throughout Depot Bay based on the criteria that the post office establishes for that business. Thank you.
We've reached somewhat of an impasse. Our city attorney pretty well spells it out for us, what our rights are as far as the city is concerned. As far as anybody that is going to receive mail, it's all spelled out right here, and it's pretty simple. So I would ask somebody to make a motion to adopt this, and then we'll deal with the city, or not the city, the post office, that we're in the driver's seat, and we're gonna do it our way. It spells it out pretty well to me. Would somebody like to make a motion on that?
Mayor, we have one other young lady
Sorry,
that's
Don,
been
yes.
wanting to speak, so.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
in front of me.
Oh, no, this is, her issue is about
It's
where
actually,
in.
it's concerning well in property,
Oh,
so
okay, I'm sorry.
I don't want to repeat it,
Okay.
so I think it's better to wait, that will save you a little time and comments.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we adopt this draft ordinance relating to the mailboxes in the public right of way and reclaiming our ownership of where these things need to go. Is that good enough?
I'll
We
second.
can have this discussion.
It's made and seconded. Somebody discussion?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going on the heads up that I appreciate that because I was going to give it a fast track until Counselor said maybe you want to read this first. You know, you've got the right to not allow any boxes here in the public right of way. So it may be that that should be at least a point of discussion for us. And then by drafting this ordinance, will the public have the right to erect a box based upon the requirements of this ordinance, even though, say, in Mr. O'Brien's case, where he says there's no appropriate place to pull over, and Bernie's point also that it may, I don't know if this could be, but it may meet all those requirements, yet there still might be an imposition to the property owners that are there. I don't know.
It does say that no person shall install any mailbox in any location which interferes in any way with vehicular traffic, including access to driveways, alleyways, I mean, Brady has a lot of leeway
Okay.
walking up to something and judging whether or not it interferes. Right now, it's not allowed at all. So this is actually an accommodation to allow
Right.
some mailbox placement. But Brady still,
Brady still has the last word.
yeah,
Right.
it's the city right away that needs to be maintained regardless.
Right, the city has the, right.
You have important things buried in the ground, you have important safety concerns, people backing out of their driveways. I mean, you know, whatever the post office requires
Makes sense.
is minimal compared to what the safety issues are, I think.
Ownership of the right.
On this is a draft ordinance. And as Council Pete said, it's just for discussion. I'm not sure this thing is ready to be published as an ordinance. Second paragraph for one thing, this is just one thing. Pete, correct me if I'm not correct here, but all mailboxes erected shall strictly comply with all regulations promulgated from time to time by the United States Postal Service, including amendments thereto. And to the extent any such regulations, those, conflict with the provisions of this code, the regulations shall control the extent of conflict. Didn't you mean the code will
No,
control the
this is
extent of
actually for
conflict?
the physical, they actually have physical dimensions that they want. They want it to not be any lower than 42 inches, no higher than 48. We don't want to get in that business because if all of a
That's
sudden
fine.
a mailbox breaks off and kills 3 people,
Right.
we don't want to have any say in how they're actually constructed.
Okay, I was just, with the problem that's going on where the post office is saying, yeah, just put it right here. It's fine with
No.
us.
He has the ultimate
I know,
control of
I
placing.
know that, but this draft, this ordinance has to make it clear to the public that it doesn't mean what I assumed, which to me, it assumed that it was saying fall back on the post offices.
I can have something with the construction standards defer to the post office. I can make it clear.
Okay, and then a second thing I had, well, there's 3 things. The 2 more paragraphs down, no person shall install any mailbox in any location which interferes in the way with the vehicular traffic, including access to driveways, alleyways, or intersections. The mailbox shall comply with the zoning codes as to setbacks. So you mean as far as cities'
Corners, you know,
cities' easement?
yeah.
Okay.
There again, Brady has the word.
All right. And then, let's see, drop down 3 more paragraphs. The city of Depot Bay shall have no obligation to ensure that during any construction, reconstruction, or maintenance operations to conduct such operations in such a manner as to permit access. Shouldn't that be comma, to permit access to any mailbox? It was just.
Well, we went back and forth, so
This guy, huh?
I'll work on that.
Okay.
It's if there's any construction going on and there's no access to the box for 3 weeks because you folks are replacing a sewer line,
Tough luck.
not your problem.
Right, yeah. And it took me a while, but I finally got there.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're with us.
I'm done, thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Okay.
We've got a motion that's made and seconded, call vote.
Fisher Brown.
With the addition that, Mr. Gentner agreed to, yes.